Welcome to the SeizeYourBusiness.com podcast and video blog. My name is Kevin O'Flaherty from O'Flaherty Law. Jim Waszak couldn't join us today, but we are joined by our four-time guest, Troy Golden. He's one of our favorite guests. He was one of the first, too. Good friend of mine for a long time. He's a commercial broker with Golden Group Real Estate Tenant-Side Brokerage. What we're going to talk about are the pros and cons of specialization. And it'll be an interesting conversation because Troy's a specialist, I'm a generalist, and we'll do a little crossfire.
Sure.
So Troy, I know probably a lot of people have seen the other podcasts you've done with us, but why don't you give a refresher on what you do?
Absolutely. So I usually tell people first I'm in real estate, and then I have to start by telling people what I don't do. I don't do residential, I just do commercial. I don't do residential. I don't help people find a home. I just do commercial. I just do something called tenant representation, meaning I help business owners find space for their businesses, and I just help office users, primarily in the western suburbs. No, I don't really go into the city. I don't go into Chicago, and I don't help a lot of people looking for warehouse space, looking for retail space. Now, there's a whole lot of people out there that I can help. People like yourself, you're my first client, law firms, accountants, etc., who lease office space in DuPage County. There's a whole lot of people like that, but once in a while, I will say no to someone who says, oh, you can help me find a house, or someone who says, oh, I'm looking for a space in downtown, or someone who says, I'm looking for warehouse space, just because I know there's a certain area in which I think I'm pretty confident saying that I'm absolutely the best person for that job. There's no one who does tenant representation in the western suburbs of Chicago for office users better than me. I'm the best. And then for everything else, I'm not the best. And over the years, I think I've developed a name for myself in that area. And people are now coming to me because I guess I've built up a name for myself. And I want to talk about kind of being a specialist versus you. You're really, really good at being a generalist. You're probably one of the best generalists I know. And
thank you.
you are, definitely. And why people come to you, because I know what I do to get people to come to me, and you probably have a whole nother set of tricks to get people to come to you.
Sure. We don't like to call them tricks, but yeah, methods. We'll call them methods.
So for me, I find that I often have to say no to certain opportunities or certain activities during the day, and you probably do the same thing. I guess I just thought we could, for this podcast, compare notes.
Yeah, for sure. So we were talking offline, and we started saying, let's save it for the podcast. You know, kind of the difference between why people come to a generalist and a specialist. And, you know, you brought up a good point. You're like, well, people come to specialists because they think they've got the best expertise in that area, and, you know, they're gonna get the highest level of confidence. People come to a generalist, although we like to say we have the best expertise in all the areas we do, people come to a generalist typically because they know, like, and trust that person and feel like they're going to be, you know, it's a different vibe, basically. Right. And when I was starting my law firm, everyone, you know, I wanted to be general practice. Partly because I didn't want to turn away any business, and it just kind of developed from there, but I also wanted to be kind of a holistic, comprehensive thing, and that's my niche, is being comprehensive, because that's kind of gone away in law. People said you couldn't be anything but a specialist and be successful. So it was kind of different for me, because I was like, all right, well, if no one's doing it, that's what we'll do. But I was always afraid of, how do you become the expert that people trust in that area from Jump Street? You know what I mean?
Right.
So what was your experience like in being a specialist from early on?
Well, it wasn't intentional. I didn't have a plan. It was essentially, I started at a firm that didn't have many resources, and I had to build up my own expertise. And if I had gone to a different firm that had, partly it was the economy, and people weren't buying buildings, people weren't selling buildings.
So rental was big, and you know that's where the action was.
Exactly. So I started out with tenant representation, and I thought, well, I'll get to helping people buy and sell when people are buying and selling. But by the time that happened, I had this tenant representation kind of niche going, and I also found that having a specialty or kind of fit my personality. I think with generalists, you have to be more of an extrovert, and with a specialist, I'm more of an introvert. Networking is certainly important, and I do it, but with me, I can manage to kind of push it all into one intense experience once a month. But with you, it seems like you're doing it all the time, and I couldn't do that.
Yeah, that's kind of before the internet took off for us. That's what it was. It was like half the job was doing law, half the job was networking and meeting people and bringing in business. And but yeah, to be honest, nobody likes going into that room full of people. People label me an extrovert, but I like being at home in my rose garden as much as the next guy and being left alone. But you do what you got to do, to bring the business in.
Well, let me put it this way. I think if you're the type of person that people like, then it's easier to be a generalist. If you're the type of person that people don't like, be a specialist.
Yeah, well, and I wouldn't make it that clear, because we've got a lot of mutual friends, and I know that I've seen the draw you have to our networking group, so I wouldn't put it that way. But yeah, so it seems like, though, that with the specialist, you have to somehow carve out your expertise in that niche and say, I'm the best guy to do this, because if you don't have that, then you're taking a real risk by turning business away. You've got to have being a specialist is great if you got enough business to fill.
It's really
your day.
hard in the beginning, and in the beginning I couldn't do it. I mean, I took on a lot of stupid accounts that I shouldn't have, because I just you had to bring in money. But
so you weren't actually as much of a specialist as you wanted to be at the beginning. And
I'm not sure if those were the right moves or not, because you go back and you're like, well, should I really have spent half my year on that $1,000 deal, or could you spend hours of work on a deal that really didn't pay off, but at the time you never know. And then looking back on the knowledge that you were building or creating, it doesn't really lead into the next thing, because every deal you do, if you focus on just one area, then each successive deal gets easier and easier, because you know the same buildings, you know the same people, and you can become more and more efficient and add more and more value to your clients. And then one day you find yourself in a place where you can legitimately add such value to your clients that, like, they're not just referring you to people because they like you, but they're like, wow, this guy did such an amazing job that you ain't have to ask for referrals. But if you're kind of going all over the place, then it's harder to do that. And the problem is, in the beginning, you don't know where you're going to end up. So it's hard to plan specialization, I guess.
Well, that's true. A lot of the legal specialists that I know, they got a job at a firm that did that sort of thing, and then they'd done it for 10 years, and now when they want to open up their own firm, that's kind of their option, unless they want to learn. And if you want to be a generalist, the biggest skill you need is learning independently, and fearlessness of really confidence to be able to, like, all right, I can learn this, I can add this to my tool set in a somewhat efficient way. Like you do as a specialist, you do your thing that you do super efficiently. If you're a generalist, the thing that you have to do efficiently isn't the product, it's learning and creating systems, and if you can do that efficiently, then you can pull off being a generalist. But the first couple of years, when I was picking up practice areas that I hadn't done before and trying to learn everything about them, it was very uncomfortable. You know, it was, I was always on edge because you try to compete with people that had done it for a long time, and you're just doing homework all the time, and it was totally inefficient. You know, the way we pull off being generalists now is that we hire specialists. You know, so we're general practice, not because I do everything, but because we hire people that have expertise in different areas. And that's one way to go about it. If you want to add a product line, hire somebody that does that product, but then you've got to know enough about it to actually manage it,
Yeah, and have the capital to hire the right person, but those first couple of years again are hard. I guess another thing I just figured was worth talking about, this kind of in the same area, and you, I know, have to do the same thing, was just, this is kind of in the same theme of saying no, but all successful business owners have to do, is just saying no to the day-to-day stuff that can distract you from the thesis of what makes you do what's best at what you're good at.
Sure.
So every day I'll have potential opportunities that would be right for someone else but aren't right for me. Like a meeting that with someone who's a good networking opportunity for someone else but not for me, or an email that I could answer but I know now that I shouldn't, and just having the discipline of saying no to that.
That's the hardest thing for me is, first it's like not being involved in every local community group, but then it gets to, you can't be grabbing lunch or coffee with everybody that invites you to lunch or coffee. You have to find a way to, like, just say, I know you might be a good fit, I know you might be a potential referral source, but the highest, best use of my time is doing something else.
Yeah.
And that's a hard skill to learn, but you're right. Like, at some point, you've got to do it. Otherwise, your entire day is, the Pareto principle, the 80-20. Mm-hmm. You're spending 80% of your time on, 20% or less of where your revenue is coming from. And sooner or later, through the school of hard knocks, you eventually learn, you got to do that. Otherwise, you're wasting your time and spinning your wheels. And, being a business owner, even in networking, isn't being about being like a nice guy to everybody and being well liked by everybody. You want to be, it's great.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to make choices and narrow down, hone in on what your really valuable activities are during the day.
Yeah. And that's something I still struggle with, but a little less every day.
The way I got around that is, I hired a relationship manager, and he's great and people like him. So now when someone comes up to me and, I don't do much networking anymore. I don't do many one-on-one meetings anymore, just because I've spent my time managing my team, strategically planning. But I get invites all the time, and what I'll say is, what I really want you to do is meet with my relationship manager. He's the guy that manages our referral networks, and he'd probably be the best person for this. And that's a friendly pass off,
right? As
opposed to just not responding to the email or saying, no, I don't have time for you. But it'd be hard if I didn't have that. I don't know how you pull it off to be able to politely say, no, I don't want to meet with you.
I do. I mean, two things. One, and it's hard being just a one-man company, but one, I use a really helpful website that I definitely want to promote for other people people watching this website or podcast that are in a similar situation. It's called Task Bucket, and it's a virtual assistant website, but you can basically buy the hours rather than just buying the individual person, and then you can use those hours anytime you want. And let's say you have a large project or a small project, you could buy 200 hours or 1,500 hours, and they have teams of people that you can outsource projects to.
Really?
So if I had a huge spreadsheet of contacts that I wanted to copy from a PDF to an Excel file, and it would take 1,000 man hours, they could do that in a day because they have all these virtual assistants that
Wow.
they can just send at that task.
Is it basically just data entry and kind of grunt work, or is it higher level stuff like website copywriting and stuff like that?
It spans the gauntlet.
Really? Yeah, we may need to look into that.
Yeah.
That's cool. It sounds like Fiverr to me, but on a higher, like for actual real services. Have you heard of Fiverr.com?
No.
It's Fiverr with 2 R's. I use it for my logos. Like you pay $5 for all kinds of crazy services. I'm sure they're coming out of like India or something.
Yeah, these guys are Philippines. So.
But like the most things that you need, you can pay $5 for. This sounds like some higher level services that you can actually buy people's time for.
I usually just use it for lower level stuff, so I can't speak to the higher level stuff. But I know that on the website they promote the higher level stuff.
Okay.
So,
Oh, cool.
So I use in terms of. I've never hired a person I've met in front of me before. It's all been through the web. But that's one way I outsource things I can't handle myself or shouldn't be doing myself. I can do it myself. I shouldn't be doing them myself. And then for the networking, it's those monthly events. I try to get everyone to show up and then do it all at once.
Yes, it's efficiency. Meet with
Right.
40 people rather than one. And you downplay your... I know you don't like to network all that much, but you're a powerful force in the networking community. We've been teaming up on networking events for a long time, and there'll be events where there's like 30 people, and they're all, yeah, Troy Golden invited me. So you're not coming across as an introvert. You're doing a good job of masking it, and the best extroverts are just doing a better job of masking their introversion. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us again. It's always, it's been fun getting to know you over the past 6 or 7 years, or however long we've known each other. It's been fun watching your business, take off and be successful. And if people need some tenant-side real estate, if people want to rent commercial real estate, how can they reach you?
Well, phone number 630-805-2463, or just look me up, Golden Group Real Estate. My website will pop up, goldengrouprealestate.com, or just look you up online, and I'm pretty sure we're linked up.
Yeah, and if you want to schedule an initial consultation with me, we are generalists. We do every area of law, but I hire specialists. Well, I'm not allowed to say that as a lawyer. I hire people with expertise. That's a no-no. You can't say you're a specialist. I hire people with expertise in specific areas, and we offer free consultations. 630-324-6666. That's 630-324-6666 is the way to get a hold of us. Jim Waszak, who is my normal partner on these, couldn't make it today. If you want supplemental cancer insurance, you can reach him by going to seizeyourbusiness.com. His info is on our website. You can also download over 100 podcasts and video blogs there. I do a lot of blogging about the law, a lot of good articles on almost every area of law, and we do videos and podcasts for that as well at learn-about-law.com. And finally, makingrealestatefun.com is our real estate related podcast and video blog. So thanks so much for being with us, Troy.
Thanks. Yeah, it's fun.
Thanks for listening.